Hello again, and welcome back to the podcast and for a Sunday conversation with Schlegs. Brought to you by our wonderful friends, The Difference. We are talking, of course, about the Buckeyes. Game number 10 and win number 10 in the bag for Ohio State. 56-14 over Indiana.
Nice.
And I used the word normal, Schlegs. That seems like what Ryan Day wanted to see again. He got it. It was dominance from start to finish. Still some teaching points that maybe Ohio State will look at with an eye on November 26th, but hard to complain about a 42-point win over a Big Ten team at home.
Yeah, everybody's been complaining a lot lately. Again, they're 10-0, they're undefeated. Bo Bishop talks about acting accordingly, and that's really what this was. It was go out there and do it now. And again, everybody was talking about the conditions because guess what? I was in the deer woods the exact same time, and I loved it. But still, throwing the ball, it's kind of snowing. Like that's what you got to do in the Midwest. They executed. But let's go back to a little bit of the points that we've been looking at as of late. One was run blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Indiana and where they are, and then you can say where Northwestern is, and that's what a lot of people like to do in today's age of college football is, what do they do against this, and who do they do this against, and et cetera, but they rushed for 340 yards yesterday.
Right.
So, does that mean that they're going to run for 340 yards against that team up north or against Maryland? Probably Maryland, yes. That team up north, no, but what it does say is that you're figuring some things out. Mm-hmm. And really, the one thing I wanted to watch on the offensive line is I talked about keeping your butt down, but it's also in playing within your pads, but it's also about getting up to the next level and creating the seams, and you're able to see some seams, or even if it's not a seam, capturing the edge, which we've seen on the games that we struggled to run the football. We didn't capture the edge, whether it was perimeter blocking or, as much as I love Cade, sometimes not sealing the edge on one. And guess what? Now they're a negative play, but they also did a good job on first and second down in this game, which makes third down a lot easier. So, and running the football easier. So anyways, that was a positive. There really wasn't a lot of instances where CJ had to kind of manage the clock, which was something that we had talked about in the Penn State game. Running wasn't really in this wheelhouse yesterday, but I will say this too. The running back room, though there is room for concern because of the injuries that are there now with Mayan Williams, and Travion being out but should be back, and they're kind of like going back and forth. Dallas Hayden showed up. And even on that little 14-yard run that he ran to the left, he bounced it outside. He looked a lot like Zeke, just kind of the manner in which –
Whoa.
Not that he's him. I'm just talking about the manner in which he runs.
Yeah.
Kind of that, like being able to plant off that outside leg and turn a corner. But that's also why Ohio State's of the world, probably a handful of teams, maybe 5, can have the injuries to a Jackson Smith and Jigba, can have Kamryn Babb out for an extended period of time in the back end, can have a rotation in the running back room and still able to perform and win, consistently because of the depth, and that goes back to recruiting. So It's a completely different ball game. This is like, the world's stopping. We don't have the running backs, our number one receivers out. No, guys have stepped up. You had depth. And so it was in a game like this, when you watch Indiana, that's what I'm watching for, because you're going to need that depth as you make the run.
Yeah, and even beyond just the recruiting, Schlegs, Xavier Johnson has been one of the unsung heroes of this season.
Oh, man.
He had the go-ahead touchdown there, the key one against Notre Dame at receiver.
Yes.
And then
yes.
a 71-yard zigging, zagging, dipping, dodging, diving around, long touchdown run, great downfield blocking as well. If for some reason against Maryland, if Dallin Hayden needs to carry that load primarily just to make sure mine and Travion are ready for November 26th, hey, Xavier Johnson looks like he's more than willing to help lend a hand at running back.
Yeah, it's also what I've noticed, and I'll get into my difference makers later, but Xavier actually was one.
Oh, I didn't mean to steal it, Schlegs.
No, you didn't steal it. I mean, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference. You didn't steal anything, but it proves a point. And the point is, you have a lot of guys on this team in the world of NIL and transfers. And I'll talk about another story at the end for another difference maker. But there's a lot of really cool things that are coming out of Ohio State. And one way that is evident to everybody that's out there that watches ball is people doing multiple things. You had Lathan Ransom blocks a kick. I think he had a kick return of 30 yards, right? Xavier Johnson punt returning, if I'm not mistaken. Is it punt returning or kick returning?
He had a kick return yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lathan he had the punt block, but still, you have Cade Stover, another example, Steel Chambers, another. You have a lot of guys that can do a lot of things and are willing to help the team do whatever is necessary to win football games.
Yeah.
That's a testament to Ryan Day, the culture, and all the personnel that are in the building, along with the players too, because in the world of NIL and the money that's being brought into an Ohio State, this could be something that's easily, no, it's about me, I got to go get mine.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that a little bit of the opposite. And that was the one thing that I thought that Ryan would have to really do a good job of navigating with the type of talent that he brings into Ohio State. And I think he's done it quite well. When you have guys like an Xavier Johnson and a Ransom and Steele, they're willing to do whatever is needed by them to go help get a win. That's awesome to see.
So, Schlegs, as we know, you were part of this brotherhood, and it's a part of you and never goes away. How important that is for guys who've worn the scarlet and gray uniform. Heard from a number of guys, former Buckeyes, just about how cool the Kamryn Babb moment was, thinking back to their time or their teammates who may have gone through something similar. I'm not sure that there's anything exactly like 4 ACL injuries and a broken leg, and then not quitting and then getting that touchdown. I know that there were some people that said, man, it got a little dusty in a lot of rooms for Ohio State legacy players yesterday.
Kamryn's a great example of, you know what though, there's people out there would say, well, why would you put yourself through that? Right? Once you've done 2, maybe it's time to, and again, everybody has their own reasons. It's why you have to let everybody go down their own paths, because we are all the sum of our life's experiences. And this is an experience that he chose to go down this path where you have 4 ACL tears, continue to rehab. You have a broken leg. You're a 5th-year senior. You're a captain. You're wearing the Block O and everything that represents, not to mention all the other people. So he physically endured all that.
Yeah.
You also had the training staff, the strength staff, the nutrition staff, all through those things and all the different needs that he had walking alongside him. And it gets really emotional outside of his immediate family for those people, because they saw the resiliency on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And his demeanor, the things that, why it's so special, besides the fact of just hearing what I said from the story of the ACLs and the broken leg and et cetera, it's when people get to see that on a daily basis, it lifts them up. And the beautiful thing for Kamryn in my eyes is that this has been a very tumultuous 5 years for him as far as his athletic career. Mm-hmm. However, it outweighs itself in gold, right? Or whatever he wants to do in the next journey of his life, because he did persevere. He grew through the trials and tribulations. And not only that, though, he made other people around him better. And that's why everybody celebrates first reception and first touchdown of his career, is because they were a part of that journey as well. So, here's another thing. You don't have that admiration from the people that work with you on a daily basis. Yes, it is their job. And your teammates, yes, they are supposed to be great teammates for you. if you're always, and again, I'm not in the building, I'm not there, but I guarantee you this is 100% probably true.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going in there with the mindset that it's, oh, woe is me, why is this happening to me? I'm down. I need people to help lift me up. He wouldn't be the one wearing the block O. It's right. In the moments that he's down that he's lifting other people up. And that's why everybody went crazy that's on that sideline. He's 100% juice giver, and it was a very, very special moment for him and his teammates.
Yeah, one of the cooler moments in a long time that I can remember for Ohio State, just having known Kamryn Babb and seeing this play out over 5 years, it's impossible. You didn't even include like just people who've been around him to cover him and listened to the way he responds to those setbacks and never being down, talking about it with us.
Yep.
We don't pull for specific outcomes on Saturdays, but specific people we will. And
for
Kamryn
sure.
Babb is definitely one of them. That's you don't have a heart if you weren't touched by what he did on Saturday.
Yep. And it will carry on with him. That's also what makes Buckeye Nation special. It's not just the years that you're wearing the scarlet and gray. It's the years afterward and the opportunities that are going to be afforded to him because he did stay and he did persevere and he's built that character through the trials. And that's what people want to be associated with. So, hats off to him.
Yeah, he gets a special difference maker award this week. We covered that one. Who else is on your list this week, Schlegs? Wrapping.
Well, we didn't even talk about the game, so it's okay. Hey,
well, it's Indiana.
Yeah, it's Indiana. But I will say this though. Hey, Jack Sawyer came out with a sack and a half.
He did.
That's great. Steele looked really fast. Cade had another 2 touchdowns. I mean, every tight end that ever played before Cade is just like, what? Why not me?
Why not me?
So anyways, let's go into the difference makers. And we really never talked about why the difference before.
Let's do it.
And it was the difference is one. Yes, it's my business. It's called The Difference USA, but it came from Urban Meyer and Coach went to Chris Ash at the time. It was like, we need to be elite at the fundamentals. And there's 2 really fundamentals that Coach Meyer always talked about, and it still carries on to this day with Coach Day, and it's done in our warm-up drills before practice. It's called loaded stances, right? So you don't take a false step. It's amazing how important that is for your get-off as a linebacker, not taking false steps. All positions, loaded stances, you work on it all the time. The next fundamental was the difference, and that's hand striking. And when we won the national championship, we were the best in the country at the fundamentals of loaded stances and hand striking, because when talent is equated, as Coach Meyer would say, the fundamentals will win. Mm-hmm. And that's really true in all aspects of life. If you handle business the right way and you have a great competitor, the company that does the fundamentals the right way is the one that's going to win. And it definitely carries over in football. That's why there's so many crosses. But it's really, for me, when I created this actually February of 2015 on a whiteboard in my office, was to like, how could I maximize every athlete to be elite at the fundamental of striking and in place, create a difference for them, whether you're a first team player or a scout team player, especially in the youth. If I can get kids striking and using their hands violently, they're going to have a better time playing football, period. Right. That's kind of where the difference came from, and it allows you to make a difference in your game. And that's why we call it the difference makers in this segment. And I'll start. I guess we can start with Kamryn, because he was the one. I already described what he did, but that was a very special moment. And he is truly a difference maker. Not for scoring a touchdown versus Indiana in a Big Ten football game, but for all the things that he went through, but all the people that he made better along the way. Like that's the true sign of leadership, and it's also why he's the captain and wears the block O. 2, I would say Xavier Johnson, for the point of when called upon, Xavier Johnson just responds. Like, that's what he is. He's number 10, and I just see number 10, and I'm like, is that really him in the backfield running the football? And the answer is yes, and okay, he's also, taking kicks or whatever. I'm like,
plays on all special teams. Plays
man,
wide receiver.
I remember in that one game where he kind of went off earlier in the year. The very next play after his touchdown, he ran down and made a tackle as the one. I'm like, this is a dude. I don't even know the kid, but I'm like, that's a dude, right? And that's what people look at. Like, if you are hungry to make your team better, coaches want to give you the opportunities, and they're giving him the opportunities because he's earned it, because he's there when called upon. And last would be Lathan Ransom. He's been very consistent all year. Did punt returns, blocked the punt, had a sack and a half, second in the team in tackles in this game. And I think, he's playing really well. So those would be my three difference makers for this game.
Okay, Schleg. So we're 13 days away from the one that counts, but you don't get to fast forward right to it.
No.
How difficult is it in the Woody when you know you're almost there to keep the focus? It's Maryland. You're like, does this really matter before playing the rivalry? How do you keep that focus when you get this close?
It all matters because, it's football. Nothing's guaranteed. I know they just got wiped out. Penn State beat them, 30-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's at Maryland. Again, every team plays up for Ohio State. They can actually throw the ball. You go into it wanting to have momentum for the game and clicking on all cylinders for the game. So it's another opportunity to be elite. And that's why you practice. That's why you go through the off season. All these different things for the one opportunity on a Saturday to go out there and execute at a high level. That has to be your mentality. The game will come when the game comes. Now, is it a noon kickoff again?
Yeah. For Maryland,
yeah.
Or for Maryland's 3:30. Yeah.
Okay.
3:30.
Oh, later they're probably like crap. Well, listen, at about 7, let's say that'd be 4 hours. So let's say 6:35. They're thinking about the team up north.
Right.
And the building's already going to be decorated for the team up north week. And like Ryan Day even talked about it. Not a day goes by that they don't prep on it, because in that game, the fundamentals matter. And it's really the fundamentals of football in that game. It is who can run the football and who can stop the run, who plays well on special teams, and who wins a turnover battle. That's what they get. Well, really, the special teams matters, but it's running the football, stopping the run, and turnovers. Right. Those two are the main components. I actually say the special teams as a factor because, it's November 26th in the Midwest. Like, you never know, right? So you got to be elite on those. So, anyways, yeah, they're gonna handle their business. They're gonna look at ways to get better. I mean, you guys have talked to Marvin Harrison before. Like, what is Marvin Harrison trying to work on? I mean, the unbelievable catch. He had 135 yards. Absolute freak, right? Guess what? Yep. Marvin Harrison's trying to get better every time he steps onto the field and showcase that, because that's when you get better, through live bullets. So they all have room to improve. It's just another opportunity to do so. Yep.
That's coming Saturday. Again, a 3:30 banger for Ohio State at Maryland. And then at this time next week, Schlegs and I will get together for another Sunday conversation.
That's going to be bumpy. That's going to be good.
But we might not be talking much about Maryland. We'll be getting ready for the game, the big one. We've been waiting a long time for that one. You can just feel how close it's getting, the excitement building. Both undefeated. This is how it should be. But again, that's for next week. We're going to talk about Ohio State and Maryland this week, and Schlegs broke down the difference makers from Ohio State and Indiana. Thanks to the difference, and thanks to Schlegs, as always, for a little Sunday conversation.
Absolutely, man. Attack and dominate. Go Bucks.
For Schlegs, I am Austin Ward. We will see you next Sunday on the podcast for The Difference. Bye.